Welcome to Let's Talk Money, Honey, the podcast where we break down the barriers to financial success.
I'm Elise Levy here with Holly Henry, and we're your hosts, two financial advisors on a mission to demystify investing, unravel the complexities of money, and sprinkle a little wisdom into your life.
Whether you're a seasoned investor or just dipping your toes into the world of finance, join us once a month as we discuss how to navigate life's financial twists and turns. Just remember, building wealth and living your best life should be empowering, not intimidating.
So listen up and let's talk money, honey.
All right, Holly, it's May, which means it's graduation time.
Yes, I'm so excited about what we're going to be talking about today, which since it's graduation, we thought it would be great for us to start talking about college savings, how to build wealth for your children. We are getting to see a lot of kids just graduate from high school or college. Oh, my favorite, though, I think is the preschool graduations or the kindergarten graduations. They're so cute. But before we dive in, we're going to start this conversation off by saying, if you are not planning for your own retirement and your own future, then you do not need to be planning for your children's future. You've got to set aside money first for your retirement. One thing that we are always very open about to our clients is it's great to pay for college if you have the means and definitely plan for it, but there are scholarships. There's community college. Where I'm from, there's a wonderful one just right down the road. There are different ways to pay for that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of options on how you can cut savings in retirement. So I will tell you every single time, make sure you're setting aside money for retirement, and then we can look about building wealth for your children.
Absolutely. It makes me think of when you're on the airplane and they're going through the instructions. They're like, put on your mask before
Yes.
you put on your child's mask.
That is so true. I'm so glad you thought of that illustration because it is like you don't want to put your future in jeopardy. I mean, I have two kids and I love them, but at the same time, they need to be responsible for their own future at some point. And I really try to make sure that my retirement's taken care of before I have 529 set up for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. And a financial advisor can always help you kind of with the allocations of everything of like, okay, we're doing this percentage to my retirement. What can I afford to do to my kids' education? But before we dive in, I just wanted to do some facts. I always love facts. So here's one for you. Individuals with a bachelor's degree in the US have 2 times the annual wage of high school graduates. So that's taken from 2021. So that could be even more today. And then also, individuals with a bachelor degree have a lower unemployment rate. That's taken from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then kind of on the other side, okay, so we know it's beneficial to go to college. We kind of already know that as a society. But we also know it's really expensive. So a 4-year private college can cost over $1,000. Tuition and fees are rising at 7% annually. So in 2035, a 4-year private college could top $417,000 and $212,000 for a public school. So that's basically why we need something that is growing more than just cash in a bank. We have to somehow be able to grow this money to meet that financial need.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's important when you meet with your financial advisor to start talking about what your budget is for college. And I will also say that it's important to talk to your kids about it. The kids need to know, even at a decent age, what's expected of them. I can tell you right now, my 11-year-old, she knows if she's not getting a scholarship, she's going to go to our wonderful community college. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. You will not see me go in debt when my daughter didn't put in the effort to get scholarships to go to a 4-year. And that's just my rule. That's not everyone else's, but for me, it's important to make sure that my children know that they have to work to go.
Absolutely. And I think just being realistic about the whole thing. I went to our local university, and because it was in state, I got a huge discount. And then we were very lucky, our age group had a special Millennium Scholarship. So I basically went for free.
Yes.
And we had that discussion with my parents, and we were able, I was able to understand that, like, for them, it was a huge deal for me to make that responsible choice. And even when looking at colleges, it was, very clear there was a budget to keep in mind. And I know we speak about
Yes.
budgets a lot. So
Yes.
it's good to introduce that topic to your kids, and college is a great way to have that conversation.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about different tools though on how you can save. And one of the main platforms that can be utilized for college savings, it's a 529 plan. And to be perfectly honest, I have these plans set up for my children, and I can contribute every year to it. You can do automatic out of your account every month. You can do just one time. These, again, you can invest into the market, so you're going to typically get a higher interest rate. So I'm going to kind of read off a list of wonderful facts about it just to make sure that we're not missing anything, and we're going to go through them one by one.
Go for
Uh,
it.
529 plan assets can be used to pay for tuition books. They can also be used to pay for computers, internet access, and other equipment. So things that I've seen that it cannot be paid for that people have tried to use it for. And does kind of make sense. Vehicles for your child to go off to college for, it cannot be used for that. Or clothing cannot be used for that. So just be sure when you're thinking about these 529 plans, you know exactly what they can and cannot be used for. Just remember that 529 plans aren't just for college. They can be used to pay up to $10,000 per year per student for K through 12th grade programs, so like private school.
Yep.
And I've seen a handful of my clients use this, especially if you're in a high tax bracket and your child is going to a private school. This is this is really good. This is very good. Again, 529 assets can also be used to pay for a registered apprenticeship, if I can spit this out, programs and repayment of college debt. So thinking like about the trade schools, the welding, the mechanics, the cosmetology, the nursing. So
Mhm.
don't just sit here and say, my child's not going to be going to college. Like if you think there's even a chance that they can go to a trade school, then again, 529s can pay for that too. Um, Beneficiaries can be changed on 529 plans. This is key. I am one of those that I look at my daughter and I've told her she's going to go to college, but I'm pretty sure she may just have the personality to prove me wrong. She's got one of those personalities. So if she does not go, guess what? Her brother is going to get the money. So it is flexible when you make that designation. It can be changed. So if you've got 5 kids or more at any point, and it doesn't even have to be your child. This can be
Mhm.
for a niece, nephew, grandchild. So that's wonderful about 529 plans. One thing that I really, really like, because again, I've pushed with my kids that if they receive a scholarship and they don't use this money, the money in a 529 plan can be reduced dollar for dollar out of the plan. So for example, if your child gets a $10,000 scholarship, you can pull $10,000 out of the 529 plan and you're not taxed on it. And again, I guess maybe I should go back to the very beginning of what a 529 plan even is. You put the money into this plan and the earnings grow tax free. And then when your child goes to college and you're using this money for qualified purchases, so let's back up to the tuition, books, all that great stuff, and you pull the
Yep.
money out, you're still not taxed on it. And a lot of states give you tax credit. I know Arkansas does. Does Nevada?
Mhm. Yes, it does.
Okay, the majority of states do.
Mhm.
You do not get any type of credit or deduction federally, though. But for those of you that are in a high tax bracket, like you can just take whatever you can get. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
that's where I'm. Okay, Elise. Anything else on 529 plans?
Yes. So a lot of people might not know, but the Secure Act 2.0 that came out a few years ago has changed a lot in our industry. And one of the really positive changes for 529s is a 529 can now be transferred tax free to a Roth IRA for the beneficiary of that account. And that's just like so amazing. And I'm really happy that change has happened. So, like Holly was saying, maybe your kid didn't go to college, change of plans, or just the account had more money and they didn't have to spend it all. So now they can transfer that directly to a Roth IRA and kickstart their retirement savings. So there are some limitations, but overall, it's a really positive change. Also, a thing to note is with 529s, Holly and I do not charge for these accounts. They are no fee accounts. So if you are working with us and have other accounts, you can always open a 529, or if that's specifically what you're looking for, feel free to reach out to either of us. We're happy to give you some more information and get you started on that.
Yeah, so I think the main reason that you would want to have a financial advisor on this type of account is if you've never invested money into any type of these accounts, it may just be a little overwhelming at first. You may not know how to invest the money, which fund to choose, and just exactly like what to keep an eye on. So again, like financial advisors, these funds, because there's, I believe, the tax credits are pretty regulated by the states.
Mhm.
And so they're really easy to set up. They're really easy to manage. But again, we're here to help. So if there's any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. And there's so many companies that do them. So it's great to talk to a professional because they'll give you a really good recommendation of a really good program that's going to be the most beneficial to you. Okay, so moving on. Another one that's not as common and you may not have heard of is a Coverdell. Am I saying that right?
I don't know. You say that you've
Did
never.
we know?
I can tell you that right now, I've never had one person use this account. It is an option, but with the restrictions, it's going to rule out so many people. So we're not for sure. So like, there's an asterisk. Maybe that's how it's pronounced. Maybe it's not.
We are experts. We just don't always know how to pronounce things.
Exactly.
So this is a custodial account that enables you to contribute up to 2,000 per beneficiary a year of earned income after tax. But you're limited to that 2,000, which I think is why a lot of people don't do it. This account is more designed for instead of college, it's more designed for private school and middle school, elementary school, that kind of age group. So earnings can be withdrawn tax-free for qualified educational expenses. Um, and the investor gets to choose the investment options. So there's a little bit more option with what you're invested in, where a 529, you're probably going to be in a mutual fund and most likely a target fund, a target date fund.
Yeah.
Um, and this type of account is ideal for savings for primary and secondary education in private schools. So, very specific. Again, any questions you have, always good to talk to Holly or I directly because we're doing a really general overview and your specific situation is going to have its own ins and outs.
Yeah, and I will say that one of the reasons why I found that a lot of my clients have not been eligible for this type of account is there is the income limitations. And actually the income limitations is pretty low. So it's going to kick the majority of people out. However, in 529 plans, there's no income limitation. It doesn't matter how much you make. You can contribute to a 529 plan. So just keep that in mind. One of the other wonderful things for kids to be able to save is a Roth IRAs. And we've said it before, we're going to say it again. Like, this is one of Elise and I, like, our favorite accounts to set up. And kids can start getting these accounts at whatever age they start working. Typically 16, 17, 18. But for those of you and for me that are business owners that start paying your kids wages at a young age, this is key because you can deduct the payment, and then you can turn around, pay your kids, and then my kids don't even know they make the money. And they do have to, I mean, they have to work around my businesses. They are here, I promise. Um,
I won't send anyone out to check.
they do not invest funds, but they can tell you how to run my short-term cabin rentals as probably as well as I can, and they know how to clean them. But you can then take that money and throw it into a Roth for them and just start doing the retirement. So again, this is something to think about if your kid has summer jobs. Elise, I had no idea how much these young men make that mow lawns
Oh my
and
gosh.
weed. I mean, I have heard amounts that they've made, and one, it's amazing. But two, I want to sit down with these young men and be like, what are you doing with it? Like, there's no phone that's worth behind it. Like, take even $1,000 of this, like, multi-thousands that you're earning. It
Mhm.
does not take much, and put it back. Put it into Roth.
Absolutely.
So, again, this is something that I have for my kids, and I'm going to give you an example because I actually, I use the calculator for my own daughter when doing this. So, my daughter at the time she was 10. She doesn't know it, but she's going to contribute $1,000 a year to her Roth IRA. Once she becomes an adult, she's going to be forced probably still to contribute $1,000 a year to that Roth IRA. So we're going to assume that she does this and that she listens to her mother. And after 50 years, she's contributed $50,000 into the Roth account. So assuming a 10% average annual return, which we're going to go aggressive, that's very, very aggressive. I probably wouldn't do that on most people's accounts. Compounded annually, the account value at 60 would be 1.163 million.
Woo-hoo.
That's a lot, y'all. And again, that's $50,000. And the importance is if she is starting young, you're allowing time for that to compound, and you're probably more aggressive. If I'm actually going to be running the calculator, I would probably do 7 to 8%. I don't know, Elise. What do you? That it is a super aggressive number.
Yeah.
But again, this is an example of what it could be. I don't recommend super aggressive on everyone's accounts.
No, but it is pretty impressive. And the one thing I wanted to mention is when thinking about doing it for your kid, they just can't contribute more than their income. So if they made $4,000 this summer, that's all they can contribute for that year. You can't go over. So even if their parents are giving them or grandparents gave them some cash and they want to contribute that, if they've already gone over what they've made for that year, they can't. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I would also be very careful on people giving you cash for the kids. I think just to cross T's and dot I's, I would say W-2 1099 just for tax purposes. We just want to make sure that all the numbers
Do it
align.
clean. Yep.
Do it clean. So if you're getting $100 from your grandparents, let's not just throw that into Roth. The IRS may come back and be like, prove it's not a gift. Again, we're just gonna.
All right. So moving on. Another style of account you can have for your kid is called an UTMA or UGMA. So an UTMA is Uniform Transfers to Minors Act. This allows individuals to transfer assets to a custodian for the benefit of a minor, and the assets are held in a custodial account until the minor reaches age of maturity. So that would be Holly creating an account in the name of her child, but she's still in complete control of it until the child reaches 18, then it becomes their account and they are in control. So that's something to be aware of. So it is great because this account can work for a lot of different things. It's not limited to education, which is why it's a really attractive option to a lot of people. So maybe education isn't a priority, or you already did prepaid tuition, but you want to start help saving for a house, or eventually they're going to buy a car. That's a great tool. And it's just a great tool to kind of get them involved. And when they do turn 18, what happens is Holly and I will make a meeting first with the parent and the child and go over the account and how it's changing, and then have a one on one meeting with the child and kind of build that relationship. And even though it becomes the child's account, Holly and I know what's up. We're not going to let them take it all out, and we'll keep the parents in the loop. But it's our job to kind of guide and educate them with this style of an account.
Yeah, and I think what's key about this is these accounts are taxed at the child's tax bracket. So, for instance, I had a brokerage account, and I'll go into detail in just a second about the difference between brokerage and an UTMA. And this money was set aside with my daughter's future vehicle and mine, just putting money here and there, extra money, thinking I'm gonna have to buy a car in a few years. And then I realized I'm going to be taxed at my tax bracket. This is money that I have set aside for my daughter for a specific reason. So I ended up closing that account and putting it in an UTMA. So when we buy that car, any earnings will be out of her tax bracket, which at 16 is going to be probably nothing.
Yeah.
And so again, that's why if you know that this money is going to go towards your children for a certain purpose, again, vehicle, home, whatever, have it at their tax bracket. Don't add more income to yours because you can end up putting yourself in a different tax bracket before you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're going to talk about brokerage accounts, but I'd say most situations, I'm going to say let's just do an UTMA because
Yeah.
of that tax benefit.
Yes. So the reason I had a brokerage account, and I'm
Yeah,
not
Holly, why did you do that?
okay, and I actually still have one for my son Ace because I haven't committed everything yet. So it gives the parent 100% control. So basically, you're just putting a nickname. On mine, it said Ace's Savings, and it's in my mind, it's money for him. However, it's still technically my money. At any point, I can pull it out for any reason. If my son at 18 or 21 is a snot and I don't want him to have the money, guess what? He's not getting it. Like it's my money. I don't have to. And so at no point is he going to take over that account unless I turn it into an UTMA.
Mhm.
The downfall is it's my money. It is going to be taxed at my tax bracket. I'm in a higher tax bracket. I'm not at this point selling any funds, not doing anything with it because it is at my tax bracket. At some point, I'm going to have to make the decision, do I roll it over to an UTMA? Again, I'm gonna have to my son's a wild one. I'm gonna have to make that decision in a few
No, I'm
years.
scared.
So anyways, that's the reason why some people just may wanna keep it in a brokerage account is it's still technically their money.
Yeah.
Yes, they may have earmarked it, but if they change their mind, if something happens and their child doesn't go to college, or if at 18 they're just wild and free, because again, like, you never know. It's still
Absolutely.
their money. You don't have to gift it. And so it's an option. It's all about personal preference. It's why you have financial advisors to guide you through all
Yeah.
your options.
Yeah, and I think like we really get it. Money is a touchy subject, and I think no one wants to give their kids too much money and no responsibility. And so finding the right account and the right situation for your family is going to be really important. And from this conversation, you can tell there's a ton of options, and there's definitely one out there that's right for you and your kids. So thank you for listening and tune in next time. I'm also going to plug our upcoming webinar. We are having our second webinar of the year on June 13th, 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central. Holly, what are we going to be talking about?
Budgeting, which we're so excited about. We've called it the Budgeting Babes. And it's just something that we're both passionate about. Not good, not good. Like this is something that we are having to take a step back and just look at our own finances and be like, whoa, we need to be taking our own advice. Something that Elise and I have talked about in length about is people think that budgeting is for the low income or the people that's in debt. And really, it's not. It's about just knowing where your spending comes from and just being more intentional with where you are spending, if it's in the places that you want, especially if you're wanting to give to ministries, if you're wanting to set aside for retirement. It's just knowing exactly where the money goes when it hits your bank account.
Absolutely. And I think you said the perfect word is intentional. And so we're just trying to get creating good budgeting habits, we're trying to get you away from mindless spending to intentional spending. And so you know where your money's going, you know it's working for you, and you have all these tools at your disposal. So it really is for everyone, especially like our high income earners who are just starting to earn those big bucks and want to make it work for them. This is a great webinar for you guys. Okay, thanks for listening and tune in next time.
This is our mandatory disclosure statement. Elise Levy with Legacy Wealth Planning in Reno, Nevada. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Mariner Independent Advisor Network, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Mariner Independent Advisor Network, LLC, and Legacy Wealth Planning are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Holly Henry with River Valley Wealth Management near Mena, Arkansas. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.